Mai Yamamoto says, "Hi Luke, I'm from Japan, living in the States. My husband is American and a fast talker. Sometimes I don't catch what he said. LOL. Does this happen to your wife too?" So, I guess Mai knows that my wife is not a native English speaker. So my wife is from China, and English is not her native language. In fact, she didn't really speak English when we met. Not much. And so I've been married for 7 years. 7 years. Getting old. Over the last 7 years, her English has improved dramatically. Her English is actually quite good now. She's got a very natural accent, and she still sounds Chinese, but it's not very strong. Very soft, natural accent, and she uses the language well. She works for an American company. She communicates with people from all over the world at a very high level in her job, which is a pretty technical job. And she's a designer, so she has to talk about all of that stuff. And so, yes, she does sometimes not understand me, but also most of the time she does. And I'm not sure that's good for her. So let me explain what I mean there. This also answers another question that I get a lot, which is, why do I understand you, Luke, but not everyone else? I think I've been an English teacher for so long that I tend to naturally simplify what I'm saying unless I'm talking to people who I think are interested in hearing me say things in a more complicated way. If you want to hear me talk about things in a more complicated way, you can check out my podcast. I have a podcast. It's not an English learning podcast. It's just a podcast, personal podcast. You can check that out. It's called, you can find it in the related channels. Anyway, so I tend to simplify things for most people, especially for people I know who don't speak English natively. And so I have a certain way of speaking around my wife that I'm kind of used to, and so I don't say some things that I know she won't know, or might then ask me, what does that mean? What do you mean by that? Now, most of that is not speed. She will understand me if I say things quickly. It's not about speed for her. And I think for most English learners, they think it's speed, but it's not speed. Speed is not the variable. Speed is not the factor. The main thing is references, what you might say that is cultural or connected to something cultural, whether that's a reference to a movie or a TV show or the education system. I mean, think about your education, right? You spend that many years of your life going to school, and each education system in each country is different. I went through it. Other Americans went through it. Did you? If you didn't, then I know many things culturally, locally, that other people who did that know that you don't know. Even if you master English, you still don't know those things, because those are cultural things, things that we share, things in common. And the same for you. I could learn your native language, totally, 100%, I know all the words. But then you tell me something and I say, what are you saying? You're making a reference, something that you experienced that's related to your culture, that someone who didn't grow up in your culture knows. Sorry, someone who didn't grow up in your culture wouldn't know. Yes, that's what I want to say. How could they? They didn't grow up in your culture. So there's the language part and there's the culture part. And often the culture part gets dismissed, like, it doesn't matter. It matters a lot. And it's one of the main reasons that people struggle to understand native English, because of all these references. So maybe it's speed for you. Your husband speaks very quickly. Maybe, though, sometimes he says something not realizing that this would not be something that you would know. Because a lot of native English speakers think that they're saying things very clearly for a non-native English speaker, but actually they're still very confusing because they don't know what you don't know. I know what you don't know because I've been teaching English for 10 years. So I know I have if there's one thing that I can say I'm good at, I'm good at knowing probably what you don't know. And so I can avoid saying all of those things so that you understand. That's what I'm doing, right? It's my superpower. My superpower is to be able to sense what someone at this level probably doesn't know and make sure I don't say those things so that they can understand me. So maybe that's not good for my wife. Because if I were saying things that she didn't know, she might be able to learn English faster and learn those things more easily and more naturally. And she does over time. Slowly I'll mention things that are cultural. But just for the sake of convenience, when we're speaking in English, I'll often just keep it simple. And speak very quickly. Speed is not the issue, but keep it pretty simple in terms of references, in terms of idioms and phrases that I think she won't know. But one thing that happened was when she first got a job in the United States, her English went from here to here because now she's in a situation where she's not living with someone who's intentionally keeping it simple. She's working with people who are just saying what they want to say, what they need to say for work. So it has to go to the next level. And she did. She's, I think, improving a lot every day, almost. So I hope that answers your question, Mai. It's a very interesting situation, the bilingual relationships, and also how that works with kids. Which language are you going to teach your kids? That's kind of interesting too. But I appreciate this more personal question. Very interesting. Guys, if you haven't already, make sure you hit the like button. I'd appreciate that. Also, subscribe so that you can see future videos. And if you haven't already, also check out my full courses in the links in the description.